How to make Psytrance. First, let's set the tempo something like 140 BPM and start with the punch kick from my sample pack. Let's shorten this to get more room for the bass. Then we need some closed hi-hats. A clap on every other beat. And let's layer a tight snare on this. Then some offbeat open hi-hat. Some shaker loops. And a crash. Guys, if you're interested in these samples, they're from a sample pack Infinity Group. It contains more than 400 drum samples, including kicks, claps, hi-hats, snares, shakers, percussion, loops, and more. These drums work with any genre, for example, techno, house. So if you're interested in these samples, make sure to check it out using the link in description. Now we need some atmospheric elements to bring out some trance vibes to this. For that, I'll use these vocal effects. And this robotic tonal loop. Let's use some auto panning to make this more interesting. Now let's find a good trance bass like this and create a 16 note bass pattern like this. I'll dip some of the lows from this. And let's sidechain this to the key using millimeter. Then we need some dark hypnotizing pads. A trick to creating those kind of chords is to use half notes like this right here. Let's sidechain this and duck around the lows to stop this from clashing with the bass. Then let's use some pads to create some high pitched strings. sidechain this, turn down the lows, and adjust the EQ to get rid of the harsh frequencies. Then we need an acid sound to make a small repetitive melody. I'll sidechain this and take down the lows. Then as for synths, I'll use these effect sounds. And I'll run this one through a gate to give it a more trancey kind of vibe. Then I'll add some sequence shots. I'll take down lows from this. And moving on to the second half of the drop, I'll use this vocal. And this tonal sample. I'll just take a part of this and use LFO tool to add a volume gate like this. Now that the drop's done, let's move on to the intro and the build-up. Let's start with the kick and the bass. And after 8 bars, add some closed hi-hats, the open hi-hats, the pads, and the tonal loop. At the next 8 bars, I'll add the rest of the closed hi-hats, the acid, and this vocal. Now, before moving to the build-up, let's use 2 high-pass filters, one for the kick and the other for the bass. And let's use this crash to transition into the build-up. Moving on to the build-up, let's add the strings and the sequence sounds. Then I'll add the hi-hats and the shakers. Now I'll use a snare to build a snare roll. And let's use a transient processor to nicely open the sound like this. Then we need some rises. and some downlifters. Now let's duplicate this and change things around in the second half. Now as the second drop, let's turn this to triplet form. For that, let's change the grid view to 1-3 and change around samples to fit the grid. As for the storm loop, I'll use a gate from LFO tool and set the rate to triplet form. And for this, let's automate the value of the rate so that it turns to triplet form at the second drop. As for the MIDI elements, we can just select 1-3 on piano roll and press Ctrl plus Q to quantize them to the grid. And after the build-up, I'll create another small break and a build-up with triplet elements just before the drop hits. So guys, our track is now finished. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and let's see our final result.